and my word will not return void, and it will go to that which it was sent, and it will prosper. But life and joy and the nature of God. Oh, hallelujah.
What's up, you wild ghouls and demonic entities? It's Reverend Logan Myerz and my mate here from the Catholic Church, Priest Henry Hill. How you doing tonight, sport?
I'm doing pretty good, man. That movie really affected me.
Yeah? Did it touch all your funny spots, funny places?
It did. It tickled a lot of spots that needed to be tickled, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, let's start off by saying what we're talking about here. Which movie we're going to be talking about tonight? What's the name of the movie?
The Devil All the Time.
The Devil All the Time, with a star-studded lineup. This movie is stacked with great actors. We have Bill Skarsgård, Tom Holland. Who else do we have?
Bill Skarsgård, Tom Holland. We have Jason Clarke.
Uncle Jason!
We have Mia Wachowski. We have Riley Keough. We have a lot of – this movie is stacked, like you said.
And Uncle Robert Pattinson.
Delusions!
Delusions!
Delusions. He has a great speech in this. Yeah, like fire and brimstone. The delusions and iniquities that we all face.
He's got the vein popping out of his head and stuff, like super intense. He's like a method actor. Like he just really gets into the roles, and like each role is completely different. A role we have not seen from Robert Pattinson yet. This is going to be probably the last movie before we see him in the Batman, right?
Right.
So
exactly.
It's a unique performance without giving too much away, but just really solid. And he goes to some dark places in this role.
Really cool. His performance is great. Well, we see in this film as it starts out, we see Bill Skarsgård's character, which his character is the father of Arvin, which is Tom Holland's character. And it starts out when Arvin is a very young boy. So it's not Tom Holland at first. It's a kid actor when he was really young, and you find out about their relationship as father and son, and kind of like what Bill Skarsgård's character, what was his first name? Russell.
Willard. Willard
Russell, right?
Yes. That's Bill Skarsgård, and then Arvin is what you said.
You learn about Willard as he starts out as like a teenager, and he ends up getting drafted in the war, or maybe he enlists. I can't remember which, but so basically he goes into the war, and he sees a lot of massacre. He sees a lot of bloodshed, and he comes up on the battlefield, and they come up to this cross with basically a soldier on it, like burned alive. And they go up to it, and they get close to it, and it's like the guy's still alive. The soldier's still alive. He's burned alive by the enemy. It basically looks like Jesus on the cross. Yeah, it's on the crucifix. Yeah. And the soldier's still alive, so Bill Skarsgård's character has to put him out of his misery. And that kind of follows him. You know, it doesn't show anything after that in the war. It just shows him going back after the war, going back to normal life. And you can see how that has, affected him deeply. He obviously has stress from post-traumatic stress from that. And that's something that he's never going to be able to get out of his head, seeing that guy burned alive, still alive, and then he had to shoot him. So that kind of darkness carries through with him to his character. But after he gets out of the war, he's, trying to get normal. He goes to this little diner, and that's where he encounters the character that's going to end up as his wife in the film, Arvin's mother. So we find out about that story.
Yeah, that he meets Charlotte, and that was played by Haley Bennett. And it's after World War II. He's coming back to Ohio, ends up meeting her, and they end up starting a family, having Arvin, and sets up a lot of great scenes with Willard and Arvin going up to the cross they have in their backyard, I guess, or out in the woods, of them praying. And this movie has to do with a lot of spirituality, good versus evil, life and death. There's a lot of themes here, but a lot of great scenes with them going out to pray, and him showing Arvin how to pray. And something tragic happens to the mother, and they're trying to bring her back, and sacrificing their animal to bring the mother back. It's really dark fucking movie. And it reminded me of a Coen Brothers movie, how dark it gets.
Absolutely.
No
I was
Country
thinking
for Old
exactly
Men.
the same. maybe like Jeff Nichols' movie Mud, or maybe even like one of Taylor Sheridan's kind of. It had that feel. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that had
agree.
that dark, gritty feel to it, like those directors. And it was shot on film, which is awesome. And so it kind of really captured that dark grittiness they're going for. And I thought it was going to be in the South, but it's in Ohio. And I think
Ohio
West
and yeah,
Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah, it
West
starts out in
Virginia.
West Virginia with Willard, and yeah, it eventually ends up in Knock'em Stiff,
Knock,
Ohio.
knock 'em stiff. Knock 'em stiff.
Which I thought was an appropriate name for the town, considering what Arvin eventually learns from his father, and inherits from him. He brings he sees his father stick up for him when he's a young man, and they're threatening his family, so he sees his father have to go to some extreme measures in a scene where he goes to this place and finds these guys that have been making sexual suggestions towards his wife.
Yeah.
And he finally snaps and finds him out in the open one day and just like
beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Beats the shit out of him. That was an
Yeah.
awesome scene. And Arvin is like a little kid at like 9 years old. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Super impressionable. Yeah, he sees that. And eventually in the story, as you follow Arvin, when he becomes older, and this Tom Holland's character, he kind of has that same kind of thing happen in his life. There's a lot of mirrored characters here. We have not only do we have Willard and Arvin's story, but we also see a couple other perspectives. We should talk about, of course, how we see Robert Pattinson come in. Do you remember how his character was introduced? He's kind of like the new pastor coming in.
Yeah, his name. Yeah, he's Preston Teagarden, and he went to like this Bible college or something, graduated, and he moves to this small town and really sets up his character. He's got a really high-pitched, nasally voice when he's talking, Robert Pattinson, which is odd. I don't know. I can't really do a good impression of it. He's like, "Hey, you gotta listen to the Lord," and like, he just gets like really intense with the role, and you could tell that he's doing something different. Like it hit really close to home. Like growing up and going to like churches like that with my family, and like I remember that, and like how the preachers are like super sweaty and super aggressive and like really into it, And I thought he did a really great job in this role, like we haven't seen before.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was very impressed with his accent. Like you said, it's totally different. You don't hear he doesn't give away any of the English accent. It's totally, you believe that he's like a Southern, like Baptist fire and brimstone teacher for sure. Yeah. And like you mentioned, he's always like sweaty and intense. And as with all the characters in this film, he has a dark side too. He's not all the good boy preacher. He comes in and you see his character, and like the title of the film, The Devil All the Time. Every character in this film has like the devil, has a good side, but has that devil, and the devil's winning out pretty much every single time. So eventually in life, with all the characters, you're going to see some bad things happen in this movie. It's definitely not an uplifting film, but it's very, very solid. Yeah.
It's a very depressing movie. It's like I never felt happy, but I was really intrigued and I couldn't stop watching it. But it's not like a feel-good movie. It's really fucked up. It's
dark. Yeah.
It's dark of, bad things happening to bad people, I guess. And some are good, some are bad, but in the heartland of America, and being Ohio, and it just takes place over different generations,
Right.
There's bad occurrences happening. Also in the movie, we're introduced to Sandy, which is played by Riley Keough.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Introduced. She's like a waitress in the town in Ohio, and she meets Uncle Jason Clarke, Carl. He's like a photographer. He's like, "Man, you sure are beautiful."
Yeah, he's like all creepy and perverted at the beginning scene when he meets her in the diner. He's like, "Hey, gorgeous," and then like he has a camera like down by his side, like kind of hidden, so she doesn't know that he's going to take the picture. And he snaps a picture of her, and she actually ends up liking it. She takes a liking to him, and they sort of end up together in the film throughout the film. And it starts out in a certain time frame, and then it goes all the way until Arvin's older too. So we kind of follow these characters too throughout the film. And it's how everything intersects at the end. You won't really know how everything goes together at first, but all these characters have something to do with each other in one way or the other.
Yeah, I say there's two major arcs in this movie having to do with the preacher and Arvin, and then you have the arc having to do with Sandy and Carl, of Jason Clarke and Riley Keough.
Right.
Basically, Carl is like a serial killer. I don't want to spoil too much in the review, but killer. And he's with this woman. He takes pictures. They pick up random guys, hitchhikers. They end up killing them, essentially. So I never really understood where their story was going to, or how it was going to meet up with Arvin's, but it really makes sense at the end, which is cool how it all intersects. It all kind of comes together. All the pieces come together in the puzzle. It's really well done.
It was very well written, even though like after it happens at the end where everything intersects, you're like, oh, okay. And then you're kind of like, why didn't I think of that? Because it's like very believable and kind of not really obvious, but you kind of like, oh, okay, that's how it's going to work. Like you think it might be two stories. We might be seeing two different like endings for these characters, but no, everything's tied together in one way or the other. And yeah, The Devil All the Time was based on a novel apparently. And actually the narrator for this film is voiced by the author.
Donald Ray Pollock.
Right. So that would be a book that I'd like to read or even get the audiobook to. I bet that would be
the audiobook for sure.
Yeah.
But he did hell of a job. I meant directing such a big cast of like A-listers. Like how did they cast this many good people? Like people just showing up along the way. You had that guy from Avengers in it. He played the cop. Sebastian Stan. Yeah, he was kind of like the cliche cop, kind of crooked, doing some bad deals with, local townspeople. And then the sister being Sandy, which is married to a killer. So they're kind of tied that way. And then it's funny with the character Lee, the cop played by Sebastian Stan. He's the one that picked up Arvin early on in the movie, the little kid.
Sebastian Stan came, and his character also has like dealings with kind of the mob on the side. I don't know if it's actually the mob, but it's kind of like these hitmen or whatever. They're obviously doing some bad stuff, and there's money involved. And there's one scene in a diner where he meets up. Sebastian Stan's character Lee, the cop, meets up with these two at a diner, and basically the mob guys like, you work for me, and blah blah blah. The standard cliche kind of mob and cop working together kind of thing. And then he puts down a pile of money on there, and the mob guy spits on it. So they hate each other. Yeah, but like you said, that character meets Arvin's character when he's really young, and then he comes on later on in the story too. So yeah, that's what I was really impressed with, how they weaved everything together. It's like, maybe we're going to get it from like 3 different perspectives and everything's going to be separate.
That's what I thought they were going to do, all separate, not really tie them together. That's why I thought it was so good, because the way they tied it all together and how it all makes sense with all those different characters.
Right.
But yeah, I loved him in that character. Well, I didn't love him, but he was good. He was good, outside of being a superhero movie. I thought he was pretty good.
It looked like he gained some weight. Unless it was he had like kind of a belly and stuff.
Yeah, he's trying to play a cop,
Mm-hmm.
And then the other character that I enjoyed was the preacher. I don't know his name in the movie, played by Harry Melling. He's the one that played Dudley in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Harry Potter's cousin. I noticed his face. He did
look familiar, but I was like, I can't place it. But yeah, that makes sense.
Harry Potter, he's a short little fat kid, and he's an adult now, like 30s. He's all skinny and has the same face. But he played that really weird-ass preacher that showed up at their church before Pattinson's character. And he poured the spiders on his face.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I thought that was a cool scene, like him and his brother.
Yeah, he like sucked you into his speech. At first, you're like, we know it's coming. It's going to be some over-the-top thing. But like the story he tells, or the sermon. And then, when he pours the spiders on him.
Yeah, he really sold that. Like, considering he's also British, and they're pulling off the Southern accent, it sounds like they're from the South. Like, really impressive.
It sounded really authentic. Yeah, impressive, especially considering they're English actors.
It's like why are English actors always better? Jason Clarke's, I think, English or something.
Australian, maybe.
Australian, yeah. I'm like, Tom Holland, I think he's English. I was like, that's crazy. They're all pulling off Southern accents in the movie.
I know.
But
it is impressive.
Going back to the preacher played by Dudley from Harry Potter, he had a daughter, I believe, Lenora, with Mia Wasikowski's character. Lenora is half-sister of Arvin, so they fast forward in the story of those two characters. Lenora is played by Eliza Scanlon, and she was in Little Women. This is the only movie I've seen her in.
Oh, okay.
The recent one.
Emma Watson. Yeah.
Emma Watson and Florence Pugh. Yeah, she's in Lenore. She's really good in this role. She has like a bit of a romance with Preston Teagarden, played by Pattinson, the preacher. They have a little romance going on, and some fucked up things happen to her.
Yeah.
And him too,
time.
especially the way that he handles things that happens to her.
Right.
Pretty fucked up.
And another little intricacy there with those characters, like the same thing that ends up happening to her character, Lenora, kind of mirrors her mom, what ended up happening to her mom. And yeah, it's really, really well done, well written stuff. Yeah, and how they shot it and everything and tied everything together and all the actresses and actors I thought were great. Like nobody had a bad role, really. I did not buy anybody in the film.
Yeah, I thought they're, even in the main and supporting cast, they're all solid across the board. I don't think there was any really bad performances by anybody.
Do you see this winning some awards eventually?
Yeah, I would. I would totally see this one.
Definitely some nominations there for sure. Pattinson should secure one. I'd say Holland should secure a nomination.
Best actor, Tom Holland.
Yeah, he did a really phenomenal
Best supporting
job.
actor, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, just for the whole delusions.
Delusions.
Yeah,
I'm fire and brimstone. And bring those serpents from hell. But yeah, they fast forward, and then we have Tom Holland playing Arvin, which is the best performance in the entire movie, in my opinion. Tom Holland brings his A game in this performance. He's trying to get out of the Spider-Man, role that he's been playing for some time now, and he's showing his real acting chops. And I mean, this is not comedic. This is a straight, serious, dramatic role. And there's a scene where he kicks the shit out of these people that are messing with the sister, Lenora. And I just love Tom Holland just like snapping out, beating the shit out of people. And I love the role. I loved his role in this movie. I loved what he did with this character, and definitely the best of the movie.
Me too. Yeah, because I didn't really know what to expect from him, because I'm used to seeing him as Peter Parker and all those films.
Mr. Stark.
Yeah, he's played some smaller supporting roles, but this is definitely, I'd say, probably actually for sure his best role to date. He brings it. It's a great dramatic role, very believable. You believe his character, he sells it, and all the emotions. The fight scene was authentic. He's like, looked like he was pissed off. Yeah, he definitely was impressive for sure.
Looking forward to his movies in the future, getting outside of the superhero, genre.
He's definitely got a bright future. Yeah, I could see him popping off like most of these other English actors have.
Yeah, I know.
Can't get enough of those blokes. They just can act their asses off.
That's true. And they cross the pond. They know how to act. They take it serious, mate. But yeah,
Christian Bale, from the time he was a kid all the way until now, just generations just keep going. Now Tom Holland can carry the mantle. I look at his birthday on IMDb. He's 45.
I'll say Devil all the time. Definitely one of my favorite flicks of the year for sure. I was really excited when this dropped on Wednesday. Watched it right away. Loved it. I'm glad you got to check it out finally a few days later. Just solid performances. I love the cinematography, the editing, the score, the cast, the overall story, how everything ties in together. I really don't have too many complaints, except that maybe it's a little long. If they shut off maybe 15, 20 minutes, I think it would be a perfect movie. For that reason, I'm going to give it The Devil All the Time a 4 out of 5 Tom Holland hair pieces.
Yes, I too love this film. I'd have to say I loved it, because I've been thinking about it all day after watching it. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that had me thinking about it a lot after, as far as just the performances, the overall story, how everything tied together, the writing, the acting, the cinematography, directing, everything across the board was top notch for me. I see this getting a lot of nominations come Oscar time and award season. Netflix made a great choice in distributing the film. It's number one. I saw like they have a list of their top films that shot straight to number one on views. So this is a lot of people are gonna see this. So yeah, definitely we're gonna see a lot of hype around the award season, and it's well deserved with this film. I too would give The Devil All the Time a very solid 4 out of 5. Preston Teagarden, Delusions! So this has been one wild podcast review from me and old Uncle Logan. We really enjoyed this film. the devil all the time. Netflix knocked it out of the park, as did all the actors and filmmakers involved in this project. Until next time, you delusional rascal.
Until next time, you wild demonic entities. She